Hey Kev, let's follow this trail over here. This looks like there might be something waiting down there.
All right. Hey, wait a minute. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I thought it was just me. What the heck is that?
I don't know what that is. Whoa, do you smell that too?
That's unbelievable. Hey, look.
What the?
Hey, look, those branches are moving over there.
What the heck is that?
Holy cow, is that what I think it is? Look at that thing.
Oh my God.
It's a freaking Sasquatch. Welcome to the Bigfoot Terror in the Woods Sightings and Encounters podcast. I am your host, W.J. Sheehan, author of the series of books, Bigfoot Terror in the Woods Sightings and Encounters, 38 volumes, paperback, ebook, Kindle, and audiobook, available at Amazon and also through the link on our website, BigfootTerrorinthewoods.com. And now, without any further ado, let me introduce you to my brother and co-host, KJ Sheehan. Kev, how are you, bro?
I'm doing all right. How about you, Bill?
Pretty good, pretty good. I told you, well, guys and gals, I just bought a Gamo, G-A-M-O pellet rifle, and it is, as expected and as was reviewed, very accurate. So I spent some time before, Kev, sighting this in, and that was a picture of the target I showed you.
Yeah, pretty tight grouping and definitely in the center. But, you know, Bill, throwing 177 lead pellets isn't going to stop a Bigfoot.
Yeah, no, this is strictly for plinking and backyard target fun.
All right, well, it's great for that.
Yeah, he'd probably, if you shot a Bigfoot with it, he'd probably go, ugh,
I don't even think you'd get it. Ugh. I think you'd think it was a fly or something landed on him. And then if he did see you with it, he might wrap it around your neck.
Yeah. Here's your gun.
Yeah, just in case you were thinking of shooting me with that thing.
You know, I have a lot of fun, Kev. You know, we always enjoyed popping pellet guns and BB guns at little targets and things. It's just a good pastime, like throwing darts or something.
Just don't be shooting at that P-38 model that I built you.
Yeah, that's a cool little bugger. I've got that right on the sideboard. Oh, man.
And was it hot there? Because it's hot as anything here in North Carolina.
Yeah. Today was more just like a really nice summer day. Warm, but the past 2 days was just like almost unbearable.
Yeah, today was still pretty hot. It's supposed to drop. I just got the weather thing on my phone. It's going to be 9 degrees cooler tomorrow, but I think it might rain all day too. I don't know.
Well, you need rain.
Yeah.
And 9 degrees cooler is substantial. You know?
9 degrees cooler would be nice.
Yep. So what do we have, bro, with our Cryptids in the News and Other Oddities segment?
Yeah, Bill, this one was suggested by one of our listeners in listener mail. So thank you for sending that in. I know both of us, when I read the email, neither one of us had heard of it before. So I was like, all right, I got to check this out. And this is what's known as the Philippine Bigfoot.
Really?
Yeah, so Bigfoot from the Philippines, and of course, it has a complex name, at least complex to me.
Want to give it a crack?
I'm going to give it a crack. I think it's Amomongo.
Ah, yes, I'm a Mungo. Same to you.
Mongo.
Okay. Well, you know, I have at least one account of rock apes in Vietnam.
Right.
Maybe 2. No, what was the other one in Cambodia?
Yeah, similar.
Well, you know, Kev, as a side note, I had one account. God, I got to dig that out, man. You know, I name these things, and the name really means nothing. So, really, I mean, I'd have to go through hundreds of accounts, one by one, kind of speed reading and scanning for something that would clue me in. But This guy was involved in removing mines, painstakingly removing mines for decades in different areas, like claymores or whatever they call
Oh, yeah,
them.
from the Vietnam War, I guess.
Yeah. And so he had one go off one day near him. And I forget the particulars, but when they went there, it was a freaking rock ape. The rock ape got nailed by a mine and was laying there dead.
Oh,
So I don't remember the particulars, but, there are apes in Southeast Asia. And a lot of non-vets spoke of, they became known as the rock apes.
right. But there's not supposed to be, right? Like,
Well,
they're not regular. They're not regular apes, I should say.
No, they're not. They're not monkeys. These are like Bigfoot type creatures.
That's what I mean. It's not
Yeah.
like there's just these apes that live there,
No,
like gorillas or something.
no, they would come out, sometimes attack troops, give away their positions, be up in the trees, and be throwing pretty good sized rocks at them. Obviously,
And unexploded claymores.
whoa, man.
And
Can
they're
you-
smaller, though, than a Bigfoot, right, Bill?
Yeah,
and
they're
I'm asking
definitely.
that for a reason, because I think it ties into this Amamongo.
Yeah, they're much more diminutive in size. Just like even the swamp ape in Florida is smaller than what we hear about, like in Alaska and the Pacific Northwest. Under a lot of circumstances, they're much
Yeah, but
bigger.
still a burly beast.
Yeah, any type of gorilla or monkey type creature, that kind of.
Well, not a little spider monkey. I wouldn't describe them as being burly.
Yeah, but I bet you they're tough as nails. Those little
Oh,
bastards.
they're definitely tough as nails. But I could strap it to a rocket and shoot it over Skinwalker Ranch.
Why?
Take that, you big monkey.
I love that guy, Travis.
You never know when Travis is going to come out, Bill.
Yeah, well,
But
that's true.
this critter, the Philippine Bigfoot, or Amamongo, it lives, or it's rumored to live, in the western Visayas region of the Philippines on the island of Negros. And they see them mostly in this area where there's an active volcano called Mount Canlaon.
Huh.
Yeah. And this thing is kind of interesting. So this Amamongo is like a legend of folklore. So they've been talking about it forever. But in the early summer of 2008, they had a lot of violence that they believe was associated with this creature.
Wow, against people?
We're going to get there.
Okay.
So it started out where, like, there was a bunch of, in that summer of 2008, they started to get a bunch of news reports and police investigations and general widespread fear. And this happened in an area called La Castellana, Negros Occidental, and that's the name of the area, the region.
Okay.
And they had some sightings, but they also had a series of very unsettling livestock deaths.
That's interesting.
Sounds familiar, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting about the livestock deaths was that all of the entrails of the livestock were removed. So they were gutted, and the entrails were missing. So they believe that these creatures ate the entrails of the cattle.
For some reason, they like that soft inner
Yep.
meat, organ meat, like,
Organ meat, right, exactly. Yeah, disgusting stuff, basically.
Well,
me,
I mean,
at
to
least.
us, but an animal,
yeah.
when you watch something ripping at something it just killed,
It's a delicacy, yeah.
yeah, they don't really care too much what they're chomping on.
Yeah. And then, so they're out looking for this thing all the time. And then two men from the community, which we'll get into a little more detail, were reported to have been physically attacked on consecutive nights by a creature they described as a hairy, man-sized ape with long, sharp nails.
Wow. So there you have man size. So, like, if you're in the Philippines, if he's describing a man size, most of the people in the Philippines are like, whatever, around 5 foot, a little over 5 foot. A lot of the women in the hospital are way shorter than that. The men, all the Filipino men I know in the hospital, and there's many, are what we would consider shorter men.
Yeah, and that's actually you're a good straight man on this. They say that the eyewitnesses provided specific height estimates, stating that it stood approximately 5 feet 4 inches tall.
There you go. So that's a lot of the Filipino men that I work with are right in that range.
Right.
So when they were saying a man's size, they were talking about themselves.
Now, and a lot of the accounts said it was furry like an ape, but this is really interesting, Bill. They said that it was white in color. Which is definitely odd.
Yeah, like an albino.
Yeah.
Well, there are apes. Even many Bigfoot sightings are quoted as being red hair.
Yeah.
Then we have that dappled hair to silver or gray and white.
Yep.
Black. Some people say brown with auburn hues in it, like those maroon kind of hues in the sun. So there's a bit of a mixed bag. And I remember, Kev, you telling me when you were up salmon fishing by those grizzly bears getting flown in there that you said they were all different colors.
Yeah, there were some that they called blonde, which was like a very light tan,
Yeah.
not brown in any way,
Yeah. No, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen that. And, this is the natural selection. You just, there's a little bit of everything out there, if you look around, you have eyes to see,
Yeah, I mean, this is why I was quizzing you, though, on the size of those rock apes, because these, this Philippine Bigfoot is smaller than what we would think of as Bigfoot.
Yeah, and reports out of the Nam region, Cambodia, that whole region of conflict, are more human size. And these are American GIs now saying human size. So
Right.
you might be looking at it in the neighborhood of, I don't know, 5'8" to 6'2" would be a good scope, right?
Yeah.
For typical men, right? A little bit taller. But again, man size, but that coming from American GIs,
Right. So we'll go through a little bit of the timeline here. So in May 2008, as I said, the first signs of trouble emerged, especially around their livestock. So they said that chickens and at least one goat were being killed in a peculiar manner. The animals were not simply eaten, they were found disemboweled and their intestines apparently consumed by the predator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see a lot of animals going for that soft meat.
Sure.
Just the belly is easy to get into, biting or clawing.
Yep.
And then that meat is just right there. You could just kind of like pull it out and have your fill,
Yeah. And then on June 9th, 2008, so shortly thereafter, the situation escalated dramatically. On this night, the creature allegedly launched a wider assault, disemboweling numerous goats and chickens in the area. And more significantly, it reportedly attacked a resident named Elias Galvez. And accounts state that Galvez was rescued from the creature by his companions that were with him. So a lot of different eyewitnesses.
Yeah.
And then the next day, on June 10th, 2008, the terror continued, and a second man, Salvador Aguiar, was attacked by what he described as a hairy creature with long nails. Aguiar managed to escape and was subsequently treated at the La Castellana Emergency Clinic for scratches on his face, back, and hands.
Wow, that's substantial.
Yeah, and these 2 confirmed human attacks occurring in rapid succession solidified the community's fear and caused an even more significant manhunt or beast hunt.
I got to know, did they get on this thing or what?
They didn't, Bill. So that's kind of basically the end of the tale. Like a lot of these series of attacks, whether it's Mothman or whatever else, it happened for a period of time, although it was a creature of legend and folklore for many, many, many years.
Right, whereas Mothman wasn't even known until the events.
No, yeah, I was just using that as an example of where you have this, couple of month period of sightings and attacks, and then
poof, gone.
Gone.
Why the momentary aggression against humans at that point in time, we'll never know.
No idea. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I have a couple of relatively brief Bigfoot accounts, so I'm going to do both of them. This account was told to me by Tiffany and Michael Blackburn, and this is what they encountered in the state of Oregon, 2016. My wife Tiffany and I are retired teachers, and hiking, gardening, and reading are our forte. Between the two of us, we've spent over 70 years teaching. And to be quite frank with you, enough is enough. Memorial Day weekend was approaching when Tiffany decided to take a weekend hike in the Ochoco National Forest, Ochoco, O-C-H-O-C-O, Ochoco National Forest. The area is also commonly known as the Black Canyon Wilderness. It was to be a great week as far as the weather was concerned, and we wanted to beat the crowds coming on the weekend. We had a campsite and a tent, and on our first day of 3, we set off on a hike. We jumped into our Subaru driving east to the Boeing Field, like the airplane, Boeing Field trailhead below Wolf Mountain. Having left the car and beginning our walk, we were now standing in the Boeing Field, which is a vast meadow. From our position, we could see the Wolf Mountain Lookout Station, and in front of us there was a sign that was either knocked down or had fallen, which read Boeing Field Trail. The field was named after a B-18 bomber that had crashed near it in 1942. The funny thing is, Boeing didn't build that bomber. After a short distance, you entered the wilderness where the sign read Owl Creek Trail number 820A. Junction Black Canyon Trail 820. So there's a little technical info for you hikers out there. The trails lead you down and through an area burned in a 2008 wildfire, which completely ravaged the area. In front of us, nailed to the trunk of one of the old burnt trees, was yet another sign which read Black Canyon Wilderness, Ochoco National Forest. I only mention all of this because we are facts and figures kind of folks. As we walked through, we were surrounded by thousands of long-since dead trees, standing like sentinels, looking over the landscape as a reminder to those who entered what happened here could happen again. At that time, the trail crews hadn't been there yet, causing us to negotiate quite a few snags during the hike. It wasn't long before we crossed Owl Creek, shortly after we turned onto the Black Canyon Trail. There was deadfall everywhere on the way in, with trees and branches scattered about on the ground. So we had reached a point confronted with this muddy quagmire formed by a recent rainstorm. As Tiffany walked around one side of it while I did the same on the other. The impasse was soft, looking like pudding, and who knew if we would have sunk in up to our knees, so we avoided it. As I walked around it, I was just passing a glance that allowed me to lay eyes upon several large depressions in the edge of the mud, causing me to stop and look. Tiffany, interested in my stopping, asked me what I was looking down at, to which I said, "Take a look." I already thought they were Bigfoot tracks, having no interest in the creature really whatsoever. Having said as much, that was the very thing that had entered my mind at the time. It was so obvious. As soon as Tiffany laid eyes on them, myself having said nothing, she says, "Are they what I think they are?" So we are on the same page, identifying Bigfoot tracks in a mud pit. There were 3 tracks, all from the right foot of the animal. Evident to us from looking at them that they came from an animate creature, the foot of which, for 3 steps, was negotiating this soft mud with basically one side of its body. After about 15 minutes, we stood there looking around, neither of us saying a word, wondering where this thing was. I'm telling you, the hair was on end on my arms. We moved forward, first walking onto what was for the most part a manufactured trail, changing into what amounted to be a glorified game trail. My mind was already telling me that anything could be anywhere in this place, and I was doing my darndest to shrug the thoughts off as fast as they came. As we proceeded, there were patches of various fungi and large mushrooms here and there, now approaching a spot where the bushes were actually growing over the trail, causing us to stop momentarily. Many of these bushes were as tall or taller than me, now forming a wall ahead of us. We were quiet until Tiffany said, "Good grief." And that was the fuse. With her saying that, this Bigfoot, which we had not seen or heard, comes leaping up like a jack-in-the-box no more than 25 feet in front of us. I mean up close and personal, Bill. Tiffany screamed as this monster threw down what seemed to be 2 giant mushrooms, turned and walked through a tunnel in the trees. You could see it had been used many times before, the branches and leaves actually forming what looked like a little tunnel. We were, for obvious reasons, shocked, turning and leaving the area immediately. The size of the creature was immense and more than a bit intimidating to behold. As tall as the ceilings in our home, a massive block of flesh. There was nothing about it that indicated to me that it was human in any way. It was a brutish animal that easily could have subdued us had it wanted to, having no defense against it. What do you think of that, Kev? A brutish animal.
Crazy stuff.
And here he is. Who knows? It must have been down grabbing chunks of mushrooms or something.
Yeah, and then it pops up like a jack-in-the-box.
Right, just
a crazy jack-in-the-box.
Maybe it was going to stay in situ until it realized these guys are going to be walking on me in 20 feet.
Sure.
You know, and that was it. Crazy, though. How can you
great
imagine?
encounter and, really rural place again in Oregon.
Yeah, this
a hotbed
area.
for these beasts.
Talk about description, though, with the signs and the memory of this guy to know, oh, this one, 820A, and this one, and that. But school teachers, right? Professors, whatever they are.
Yeah, fantastic.
Now, let me get into this other one. This is very brief. This sighting was shared with me by Luther and Jan Fox, who come from multi-generational families in Montana. This is what they had to say. As we said, Bill, Jan and I were high school sweethearts, married 37 years and counting. Our families combined have roots in this state going back for 6 generations, covering everything from blacksmithing, horse raising, construction, and even religion. My great-granddad being a minister. For years, Jan has had this springtime ritual of bringing back Indian paintbrush flowers to the house. The first actual trek outdoors after the winter has subsided. For her, it's like an Easter egg hunt for adults. So that being said, in 2013, we went off in our 4x4 into the lower side of the Tobacco Root Mountains. The range is between the Madison and Jefferson Rivers in southwest Montana. On the day we had this sighting, we were just above what I would call the lowland hills by Mount Hollowtop, snooping around for some patches of Indian paintbrushes on foot, having left the 4x4 parked down in the grassland. I remember it was a pristine day as far as the weather was concerned. Blue skies and wispy clouds being the order of the day as we walked through the trees and the grass. Jan had run across some patches of her prized possession, to the point where we now had half of my pack filled with them. Sitting down to take a breather by the edge of the forest. Below us, there were rolling hills covered in grass, undulating up and down and going off into the distance. To give you a visual of what happened next, if anyone was walking between these hills, unless they were to come up near the top edges or pass between two of them at a low point, you would never know they were there. In other words, the hills would obscure you from seeing them walking between them. Now, I'll begin here by saying to you that in these parts there are critters that can kill you given half a chance to do so, especially in the spring after a hard winter. So no self-respecting responsible adult could or would allow their young to wander far from, now he's talking about adult animals, could or would allow their young to wander from their side while out in the country. So, and we were out in the country. Believe me when I tell you that. Nothing was obscuring our vision at the time, looking to the south over this one particular area of this hilly grassland. Both of us were taking in the same panorama in front of us. Then, at about 600 yards or so, a black figure emerges, walking from behind one of these hills. It was alone, or so we thought. Very darkly colored, and from a hunter's perspective, one big critter, even at 600 yards. So we're fixed on this thing now. And after about 30 seconds, a smaller critter, about a third of the size of the first, comes scampering out from behind the back of the same hill, seemingly running at double time to catch up with the first that we had seen. It was obvious to us that the two of them were Bigfoot creatures, nothing else matching their unusual appearance in the region. Thinking back, it was actually quite comical, watching this little one acting just like a small child, or even a dog off the leash by its master's side, stopping here and there, looking at everything and anything, and I thought to myself, would I be laughing if they were next to Jan and I? And the answer was no. I love this guy. Yeah. He's laughing, and then he says, would I be laughing if they were standing next to me?
Yeah, none of us would be laughing, Bill.
Oh, my God.
We'd be like, what the?
Yeah, he didn't mention it, but I bet you he was probably packing a gun,
Oh, yeah.
I think most people wandering around out in Montana are carrying a big pistol at the very least.
If you're not, there's something wrong in the rural parts of Montana.
Yeah, that's normal living. Amazing, heck.
Some grizzlies out there, cougars, wolves. I mean, you name it. There's predators out there.
When you say cougars, are you talking about older women?
No, the other cougars. There might be some cougars out there, too.
Unbelievable. So that's it, Kim. Three very unique accounts.
Yes.
The Philippines and Montana and Oregon, three unusual yet you would think almost normal type of sightings, right? I mean, just out of the blue, something happens. Like this one at 600 yards, seeing two creatures walking in between.
Yeah, it's pretty cool seeing the small one pop out,
Yeah. And I could visualize the whole thing, even as I'm reading it, of the little one. You know how like a kid or a dog will stay behind you?
No, I was kind of, you heard it was slow, me coming in after you were done, because I was sitting there not knowing what account you were going to read, as usual, and I was like visualizing it, and I was right there,
Yeah, it's amazing.
Super cool.
But folks, like we always say, if you've seen something, say something. So go to the BigfootTerrorInTheWoods.com website and hit the contact button, and you could reach out to us. I'm going to be making a call tonight, Kev, to somebody who left their number on the website. See if I can't catch up with this fella about a sighting he had.
Very cool.
And also, folks, you can actually go right to the website and buy books. Take you right over to where you want to go with the Buy Now button. And very soon, I promise you, we are done. The only thing we're doing right now is getting some test merchandise. And then we just have to connect the link to the website, and you will be able to go and check out all of this cool new Bigfoot Terror in the Woods merch. So
we're ready, Bill. We're ready.
Yeah. Now we'll be letting you know this ain't no hoax. It's just some things take a little time and a little more than you expected. So is that it, Kev?
Yeah, that's it. Now we got some listener mail.
Okay, let's do it.
Speaking of great accounts, Bill, this week we got a great account. So people, are listening to you, and if they see something, they say something. They even sent a little picture with this one too.
Cool.
So this one, unfortunately, though, the person who wrote in forgot to put their name. So all I have is their email address, and their email address doesn't really give a good clue to their name.
Okay.
Excuse me. But it says, "Hi, Kevin and Bill, long-time listener, and I have an unreal story about a recent sighting in my area of Greenbank, Queensland, Australia."
Wow. Did you say broom, like a sweeping broom?
No. Greenbank.
Oh, Greenbank. I don't know where I heard broom. Greenbank.
Green broom, Greenbank. In Queensland, in Oz. And what kind of creature do you think he saw, being it's in Australia, Bill?
Can you say, Yowie?
That is correct. And he writes in, "We live in a small semi-rural area with house lots ranging between 1 to 5 acres for the most part, and bigger properties as you head to the edge of the suburb. Some of our blocks back into the Karawatha Forest Park, an area in the past that has its share of Yowie sightings. It was last Sunday when I was cleaning around the water garden near our house. I had an eerie sensation that someone was watching me.
Yeah, always happens.
This is not the first time that I felt this. These days, I'm reluctant to go outside after dark because of this uneasiness. But this was the first time I had this feeling during the daylight. Yeah. I tried to ignore it, but it was then that I heard a noise. A low, gruffly grunt. Small, but somehow still menacing, still creating a menacing feeling. I quickly looked around and saw nothing. I went back to my cleaning, getting deeper and deeper into the water garden and foliage when I heard it again. But this time, the The grunt was accompanied with a scuffle noise of shrubbery and a clicking of stones.
Wow.
Yeah, it was then I looked up and saw it.
We haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah.
The rock clacking.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was under the feet or if it was just clacking it with their hands. He didn't specify.
Yeah, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the rock
okay.
clacking is interesting.
And he says, it was then I looked up and saw it. Wait.
Ooh.
I could not believe my eyes, and I knew no one else would believe my story. And luckily, I always carry more phone data than I think I'm going to need. I grabbed my phone from my pocket, clicked the camera, and managed to get this picture of the creature. I know it's a bit blurry, but I was overtaken by adrenaline, and it was the best my phone could do. I hope you can make out the yowie. Lucky for me, I managed to center him in the image.
Wow.
Pretty
and
wild.
by the way, my friends in Oz, one of the shirts that you're going to see in the merch line is a kind of comical, tongue-in-cheek yowie shirt that I think you're going to love. So we had a little fun with that. Interesting, huh, Kev? One of our buddies.
That's a great
down
account.
Yeah, our buddies down.
I mean, they're
in
taking your
Oz.
advice, Bill. If they see something, say something. Write in about it. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. And I know there are a lot more people out there that have seen things that just haven't decided to, break the schneid and come forward with their account.
I get it. And, folks, we will not violate that confidence. If you tell us not to say your name and that, we understand.
Yeah, and Kev, I've had a number of people that I've interviewed where the accounts were just so kind of all over the place and whatnot that I asked them if they could spend a little time and on a computer and put down their thoughts in some type of organized way so I could have them. And they never got back to me.
Yeah.
That's happened a few times. But if you're listening, my friends, and I've asked you to do that, please spend the time. Because sometimes, Kev, it's difficult to interview. Not everybody gives a great interview. It's like I'm here and then I'm back there and I'm over here and down there. And then, and it's very hard to, over the course of an hour or something, you find yourself kind of getting lost in a malaise,
I hear you.
So, well, anyways, man, great mail, great podcast, great accounts. And by the way, folks, if you should find yourself in the Philippines on vacation, walking through the jungle, or out in the rolling hills of Montana or Oregon, remember one thing, my friends. Always carry more gun than you think you're going to need. Sleep tight.